I'm from Texas, from Austin, the like music capital, but I never really saw queer people, and it fascinates me how you can get away with that, like being a queer artist in the South. So I was just wondering if you could tell me, is it usually just like on the side of a barn, like in that one day?
That's actually at a biofuels company. So where people play, is that?
Yeah, is it mostly for straight audiences?
It's really mixed, and to speak to this gentleman's question again about social media, I sort of, when I was planning, I made this as part of my master's thesis at UC Santa Cruz, part of the social documentation program. So I had a year of research before I went down there. And I expected, because of sort of like the rural nature of a lot of places where I was going to be, to have a lot more of an online network of organizing. When I got down there, it was very different. It's much more grassroots, much more word of mouth, community oriented. And I think people play for all sorts of audiences. I mean, the music is really what drives it, and I think that's something that's very unique, especially with Humble Tribe, who was one of the first bands that was up there. They do sort of like a roots Americana music, and they play like the community center in Nowheresville, North Carolina, to a bunch of people in wheelchairs in their 80s who were just like slapping along, you know, and just loving it. You know, these weirdos with weird haircuts, and like so they play to diverse audiences. But also something that's interesting is that people start their own spaces, and that's something that's very cool about the place where I were at, where it's relatively inexpensive to have an idea and make it happen. So Midtown Dickens, it didn't make the cut in the actual film, but they started their own community space where they have shows, and people open their own bars and open their own venues. So definitely a lot of different crowds. And I actually am working now for a website called homoground.com, and we do, it's a music podcast for queer artists. And we also do a band network, so if you're a band looking to tour and you're looking for queer spaces to tour around the country, we provide a resource for that. So there's a lot of people working towards safe spaces for queer bands to play out.
I just want to I have a social phobia against social media, and maybe because I'm just stupid. But I think it's great. But it always comes back to visibility, right? That's what this film is about. I mean, when Lance, he didn't ask to be in the film. He just told that story on our couch after a screening of a scene or two. And I thought, that's amazing. Somebody who was Mississippi's beloved son, right? This like, very famous and from Mississippi, proudly from there, absolutely erased from the records. I mean, the drop-off was immediate, right? I mean, just take him out of the ad campaigns. Just, he's not from here. And that's what happens to us. Everybody wants us to go away. They don't want to see us. We're icky, you know, or, you know, we're threatening in some way. And the worst thing you can do is make people invisible. So social media is great because everybody talks to each other, and, you know, but I just think it's so not personal in so many ways, and I think we have to keep being connected and personal. And that's why, you know, film festivals like this, having a live audience, being here when seeing so many, you know, Frameline, how amazing to hear and see our stories together. You know, so I think that those connections.
Yeah, and one great thing, you know, about doing a film like this at these festivals, you know, we did Atlanta, we did Jackson, we did Tupelo. They won those festivals, and what's great about it is that ad campaign I was talking about that they erased me from once I came out in People magazine. They put me back in last week. The same It was incredible, because I remember 4 years ago, Brett Favre's wife was the one who called me. Was like, "Oh, look at this new campaign. They just kind of erased you from it." And it was in New York, LA, and I was very upset. You know, very upset. And that's when I kind of gave up on my state. And then we did this film. It obviously, you know, touched some people. In the same exact campaign, a friend sent me by text last week. Like, "Look who made the campaign." The same exact picture. Yeah. Old picture. Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah, I look 12 in it, but hey, they put me back in it, so I'm happy.
Just a question. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. This is amazing, and everyone's saying, what can we do more? I just think no one has said thank you yet, so you guys rock.
Woo! Thank you. Thank the kids and the people in the film.
I just currently live in Georgia. I flew in for the weekend for this GSA summit thing with our schools. So I definitely resonated with both of the films. Still living there, and kind of left. I go to University of Chicago, so I'm only there in the summer, but I honestly don't ever see any gay people. And I'm really curious, like, honestly, in my town, I'm sure I'm the only one. I'm really curious to know is how did you guys find these stories? Besides the Constantine, like, she's listed, how did you find it in the city, same with the groups and bands? Because I still have a home there, and I'm really curious to see how it's being connected.
Again, I made this part of a master's program, so I had a year of research to sort of reach out and figure out where I was going for the summer and doing my shooting. I knew one person in Durham, and that was Katherine, who was up there in Midtown Dickens, and through her, I basically sort of snowballed into meeting everybody else that she knew and those people that they knew. So it was really like a amazing word of mouth network that landed me with an interview, with Amy Ray, which I never thought in my entire life I would be able to achieve. So, yeah, I mean, I sort of looked on the internet, found some people, and she told me about people, looked to record labels that were starting up, looked to venues, the bands that they worked with, and it's just this network that sort of spidered out, and this really beautiful, sort of genuine way where people were really helping each other with each other's projects. And I ended up extending my production by 3 weeks because I met 3 times as many people as I thought I was going to. So yeah.
I mean, we went Mississippi Safe Schools Coalition. I mean, they were already, and that's who we went to first. But I have to say, I think Lance, you feel the same way. Our first shoot was actually the Second Chance Prom. So actually, if you look at the end of the film, the interviews with the kids, they look much younger because at that age, you age in a year. So that's where we found them. But to see those buses with all those kids coming from across the state, getting off those, I was like, where are they coming from? Like, have they been like hiding under? But that's the thing. It's not easy, which is why you have to be, if you can, be visible.
I mean, same thing. It's we were very lucky to have started with the Second Chance Prom. So you had all these amazing kids in the room, and we just, by chance, just started talking to someone like Bobby. He was out on the street, not even going to the prom, didn't have a ticket, and wanted to go really bad. Gave him a ticket, went to the prom, and then just started talking. And he was just such an amazing subject to film. And yeah, you saw what you got.